And this lechora is also shaykh. This lechora is also shaykh to the second pirush in the Zohar on Roya b'Shoishanim. And this is in Zohar Chelek Gimel, Daf Chof, where the Zohar says, Al tikri Shoishanim elo shesh shoinim. Don't read it Shoishanim roses, but shesh shoinim, those that learn. Shesh shoinim b'halachis. And why is this connected over here? Because, as we mentioned in the past, and probably will mention in the future, that the Magen Avram and the Beis Halevi both say that that if we would have had the Luchos Rishonos, all of Torah would be written. It's some Kemat Mefurish in the Yerushalmi in the 6th parak of Shkolim. It would be only Torah Shebechsav. It's only in the Luchos Shnias that it was neschadish that there'll be a Torah Shebechsav and a Torah Shebal Peh. Now, Shoinim B'Halachos is Torah Shebal Peh. So the Shoinim B'Halachos are also shaykh to the Kabbalah of the Luchos Shnias that these 40 days are a preparation for. So just like this is a time of the Gilui of Yud Gimel Midas HaRachamim, it's also a time that's connected with Shoinim B'Halachos. And the truth is that these two are two sides of the same coin, because it's Yodua, the Mezritcha Magid, it's based on the Zohar and Parshas Pinchas, that the Yud Gimel Midas HaRachamim and the Yud Gimel Midas Shatorah Nidreshes Bahem are parallel each other. Parallel each other. That to be ma'orah the Yud Gimel Midas HaRachamim is through the limud of Torah Shebal Peh, which is the Yud Gimel Midas Shatorah Nidreshes Bahem. On Memela, the fact that this is the time of preparation for the Kabbalah of the Luchos Shnias, which is the Yesod of Torah Shebal Peh, that's why it's the time of Yud Gimel Midas Shatorah Nidreshes Bahem, which is the basis of Torah Shebal Peh, and it's also Avada for the same reason, the time of the Gilui of the Yud Gimel Midas HaRacham. So now, Klal Yisrael says to the Umas Olam, Ani ledoidi v'lo yatem loy. I'm to my beloved, not you. Loy lochem v'lonu livneis bayis lelokei. So it seems that this is also shaykh to the Shoinim B'Halachos. And that's based on the Shmois Rabbo in Parshas Kisisa that says on the pasuk Ksav lecho es hadvarim ha'ela. So the Medrash says Hadod Iksiv. This is what it says in Hosea, Kapitel Ches. Echtov loy rubei toirasi k'moizor nechshavu. This is a very difficult pasuk, and I'm not going to tell you the pasuk of Pshat, because the pasuk of Pshat is really not pasuk. But the Medrash says Echtov loy rubei toirasi k'moizor nechshavu. Zok the Medrash b'shoshe nigla HaKadosh Baruch Hu b'Sinai litten Torah Yisrael, when the Rebbeinu Shalom revealed himself in Sinai to give the Torah to Eden. Amra l'Moshe ala Seder. He said it all to Moshe Rabbeinu ala Seder. Mikra, Mishnah, Talmud, v'Agoda. He taught him everything. Shenemar, v'yidaber elokim es kol advarim ha'ela. Afilu masha Talmud shoyel l'Rav. Amar HaKadosh Baruch Hu l'Moshe b'Yisrael shah. Ne'acha shalom da mipi HaKadosh Baruch Hu. After Moshe Rabbeinu learned it all from HaKadosh Baruch Hu, Amar loi, lamda l'Yisrael. HaKadosh Baruch Hu told him, teach it to the Yidden. Amar lefon of Moshe Rabbeinu said, Rebbeinu Shalom, Echtoiv oisol lohem, shall I write it all? Amar loi, eini mevakesh litn lehem b'ksav. I do not want to give all of Torah to them b'ksav. Mipnei shegolui lefonai, because I know she'umay sa'olam asidim lishloit b'hem. V'lita loisam mehem. I know that Umay sa'olam will rule over the Jews, and they will take the Torah from the Jews. V'yiu bezuyim be'umais, and Klal Yisrael will be bazui be'umais. So I don't want that to happen. Eloham mikra ani noisam lehem b'chsav. I only will give them the mikra b'chsav v'amishnah v'atalmud v'agoda ani noisam lehem b'alpeh. Shem yavoyu mesoilam v'yishtabdu b'hem. That if the Mesoilam will come and they'll enslave the Jews, Yiyu muvdala mehem. Nevertheless, Yidden will have a havdalah. They'll be distinct. Amar lenovi im echtoiv loy rubei toirasi k'moizor nechshavu. if I'll write them all of my Torah, Yidden will be like Goyim. Umani Yoisalahem, Noisin es Amikra B'chsav, V'Amishnah V'Talmud V'Agoda Bal Peh. Ki al pi advarim ha'ele, Zu HaMishnah V'Talmud, Torah Shebal Peh, Ki al pi advarim ha'ele, Karati Bris in Yisrael. Sheheim Avdilim Ben Yisrael Ben Umas Olam. That Torah Shebal Peh is what sets us apart from the Umas Olam. This is the Medrash in Parshas Kisisa. Now, since we know that Alamolei Nishtabru Luchos, so all of Torah would be given to us b'chsav, and it's only mitzad the chiddush of Luchos Shniyas that we have Torah Shebal Peh. Come to place that these 40 days from Rosh Chodesh Elul until Yom Kippur, that Moshe Rabbeinu is oisik in the preparation for the reception of the Luchos Shniyas, this is a asik in the Mavdil Ben Yisrael Umas Olam, because Torah Shebal Peh is the Mavdil Ben Yisrael Umas Olam, and therefore the Anile Doidi, the Loi Atem Loi, is the Inyan of Chodesh Elul, because Chodesh Elul is the month of preparation for the reception of Torah Shebal Peh, and Torah Shebal Peh is the Mavdil Ben Yisrael La'amim. Al Pi Advarim Ha'ele, Al Pi Advarim Ha'ele, Torah Shebal Peh, Karati Brisim Yisrael. And we really find that when Moshe Rabbeinu is davening for the atonement of the Chet HaEgel, he asks not only for that, but there's another request that Moshe Rabbeinu makes, and he says, how will it be known that I found favor in your eyes? I and your people will be made distinct. And the answer to this request is in the next pasuk by Yom Hashem al Moshe, that Games Adover Hazeh Asher Dibarta Eseh. The Ramban says that this took place in the end of the second 40 days, meaning on Rosh Chodesh Elul. But what is it about? V'neflinu ani v'amcho mikol ha'am asher al pnei adama. The Rishonim say that it's not loinus bare what this v'neflinu is. But according to what we're talking, the v'neflinu is really because in Luchos Shniyas we have Torah Shebal Peh, which sets us apart. Karati Brisim Yisrael al pi advarim ha'ele, and that's the v'neflinu ani v'amcho. Oy bazoi kum tachois, that it is appropriate that also in the Mahalach HaDoros, this day of Rosh Chodesh Elul and the 40 days that follow are the time of the Gilui of Ani L'Doidi v'lo yatim loy. Loy lochem v'lonu livnois. Ani L'Doidi v'doidi li haroya b'sheishanim sheshoinim ba'alachos. And also, Ma Shoshana has 13 Alin. Also, Knesset Yisrael has 13 Midas HaRachamim, because those, as we said, parallel each other. And it's not just that this time period is Gorim, all this, but also mitzad the content, the Gilui of the Anhaga of Haroya B'Shoshanim in the Mahalach of Binyan Bayis Sheni parallels the Gilui of the Yud Gimel Midas Arachamim and the Yud Gimel Midas Shator Nejeshes Bem. I mean, listen, am I getting too complicated? I'm just starting to wonder. Rabbi Rossman, I mean, is it okay? Okay.
It's great. It's great.
Okay, good. Okay. So I say like this, that you know that there's a connection between the Luchos Shniyos and the Bayis Sheni. You see, these 40 days are connected with the Luchos Shniyos, and Rosh Chodesh Elul, which is the beginning of the preparation for the Luchos Shniyos, is also connected with the Bayis Sheni, as we see that the prophecy for the rebuilding of the Bayis was given on Rosh Chodesh Elul in the beginning of Chagai, and we see that the pasuk Ani L'Doidi v'Doidi li was said by the Olei Bavel to the Umas Olam who wanted to participate in the building of the Bayis Sheni. So I want to say there's a connection between the Bayis Sheni and the Luchos Shniyos. And how? Because it says also in Chagai, Godol yiyeh kvoid habayis ha'achrim min harishon, that the second bayis will be Godol kvoid habayis hazeh ha'achrim min harishon. It will have more covet. But that's a very perplexing pasuk, because we know that in the Bayis Sheni, the Gemara tells us in Yoima, Daf Chaf Aleph, Chosru boy chamisha dvarim, Oron v'kapoires, ukruvim, eish, ushchina, v'ruach hakodesh v'urim v'tumim. So there were so many things missing in the Bayis Sheni. How could the pasuk say that Godol yiyeh kvoid habayis hazeh ha'achroin min harishon? But we find the same issue with the Luchas Rishonis and the Luchas Shneis. The Ibn Ezra, in the beginning of Kapitel Lamed Daled in Kisisa, has a whole argument with a goin. He says, "V'yoymar hagoin ki hashniim nichbodim in harishonim b'shiva drachim." That there's a goin that said that the Luchos Shneis are nichbad, are more bekovedik, are more honorable than the Luchos Rishonim in 7 ways. And one is, we see he made an aron for them. The second is because in the second Luchas it says, L'man yitav loch, shu toiv boi l'mabo, it doesn't appear in the Luchas Rishonim, etc. He has 7 reasons. So the Ibn Ezra responds very sharply, as he does sometimes, and he says, Ve'ein tzorich l'hoshiv al divrei zeh hagoyim, there's no need even to argue with him. Ki ra'yosav hem kedivrei chalon, loy ma'alim v'loy maridim. Rak yatsa osak mipiv, v'oimek en chayev sheyilke. Somebody that says that the Luchas Shneis are more nichbad than the Luchas Rishonis, he needs malchus. Ki yodua, ki michtov ha'achroinim, ki michtov ha'rishonim. That in terms of the writing of the Luchas, that it was divinely written, they're both the same. Michtav Elokim hu. V'hinei b'michtov hem shovim. So as far as the writing is concerned, they're equal. Nu v'harishonim al daiti b'roam Hashem. The first ones, it says also that the Luchas were divinely created. V'hashniim p'solo Moshe me'even nivreis. It says p'solo cho shnei Luchas avonim. Nu v'hinei ma'aseh Moshe nichbid me'ma'aseh Elokim. So is the guy holding that ma'aseh Moshe is more nichbad than ma'aseh Elokim? And the truth is that if you look in the quotation that he brings from the Goyen says that the 4th mila that the Luchas Shneim have on the Luchas Rishonim, what's the 4th mila? Ki bom chelek min hashomayim u min haaretz. So he says that the mila of the Luchas Shneis is that there's a participation of Oretz, as opposed to the Luchas Rishonis, which were completely not only written but also created by HaKadosh Baruch Hu. And that Ibn Ezra is saying that this is like, he's saying it's parsha, it's punkfaket, it's not a mila, it's a chisar. So we need to understand what's the argument about. So the truth is that in Midrashei Chazal, it's mashma like the Goyen, that the Luchas Shneis have a mila. Because in Shmois Rabbah, Perek Memvov, it says, Hischil Moshe mitzta'er al shibud al Luchas. Moshe started to feel bad for breaking the Luchas. And you know what HaKadosh Baruch Hu said to him, Asher shibarto yiyashir koichach asher shibarto. By the way, just to insert something a little bit lighter, I will tell you that, you see, we have a minhag that when after a shliach tzibur walks away from the Omed, we say yiyashir koich. But what's the source for yiyashir koich? It's this Gemara in Menachos Daf Tzadik Tes that says that Asher shibarto means yiyashir koichach asher shibarto. So the pshat is like this. A lot of times the Baal Tefillah walks away from the Amid. He feels it wasn't really so good. It wasn't really so good. He has a broken heart. Just like when Moshe Rabbeinu broke the Luchas. He had a broken heart. HaKadosh Baruch Hu tells him, actually, it's even better. I mean, the pshat is that now we're going to give the Torah of the broken hearts. And that Torah is great. But okay, so that's a Maimon Muskis and Mamela. That's why we say Yiyashir Koyach. So I guess not every Baal Tefillah needs that. Yiyashir Koyach. Yiyashir Koyach. But now it says in the Medrash, yeah? Hischil Moshe mitzvah al shibra al Luchas. He was feeling bad that he broke the Luchas. He wasn't sure he did the right thing. Amalei HaKadosh Baruch Hu, al titztar b'Luchas HaRishonos. Don't feel bad. Shaloi hoyu ela aseres hadibris bulvad. There were only 10 dibris on the tablets. In other words, the concealed chokhmah, it's twice as good. And Al Derech Zeh, it says in several midrashim. So you see that there's nothing to feel bad about the Shvira, and that the Luchas Hashnias have a mile over the Rishonis, like the Goyen said. But Lamaisa, we have to understand. The Ibn Ezra says, how's it possible? If the Luchas Rishonis were Maisa Elokim, and the Luchas Hashnias were Maisa Moshe, how could it be? Vice the Chois, that it's like we said, the Beis Halevi and the Ibn Ezra, that Luchas Rishonis, according to the Mahalach of Luchas Rishonis, all of Torah would have been written. So it means that in Luchas Shnias, nothing new was revealed. Adrabah, the Chiddush of the Luchas Shnias was that some of Torah was concealed. Less was revealed and more was concealed. And that actually is a Maila. In other words, the Midrash, Halachas V'Agodis, now appear as something independent. It's not written, and it's something that we have to be Megala with our own minds. And he's telling him, don't feel bad. There's Midrash Halachas V'Agodis. In other words, true in terms of the revelation, now you don't have that much. But in terms of human effort, there's going to be much more opportunity for human effort, and the connection with HaKadosh Baruch Hu will be much deeper and much greater, because the more of Torah that's concealed and the more effort that has to be invested in revealing the Dvar Hashem, that is a Maila, as the Mabit says in the Akdama of the Kiriyas Sefer, that the Guf of a Yid becomes a klaf of the Sefer Torah in Torah Shebal Peh. So it comes out that both the Goyen and the Ibn Ezra are both right. Avad, it's true that the Ibn Ezra says that in terms of the revelation, the Luchas Rishonis are greater. And that's the Maila of the Luchas of Maaseh Elokim. But on the other hand, the Goyen holds that it's taka true that in Luchas Shnias there was less of a revelation. But he holds that Mehai Taime, the Yosef Nichbodim min Harishonim. Because Kavod is something that comes through choice and through effort. As you see, the Gemara says in Chulin Daf Samach, Dorish Reb Chanina bar Papa, Yehi Chvoid Hashem la'olam, Yismach Hashem b'maisav. Pasuk zeh Sar ha'olam omroi. B'sha'o she'amar HaKadosh Baruch Hu liminehu ba'ilonois. HaKadosh Baruch Hu told the trees to come out in different meaning. Nasu d'sho'im kal v'choyme ba'atzmo. Im retzoyne shel HaKadosh Baruch Hu be'ervuvye, lama amar liminehu ba'ilonois. V'oid kal v'choyme. My lonis she'ein darkon l'tzeis be'ervuvye. I'm not saying we can understand this Gemara. My lonis. She'ein darkom l'tzeis be'ervuvya, Amar HaKadosh Baruch Hu l'minei, Onu alachas kama v'chama. Miyad, kol echad v'echad yotza leminoi. Pasach sar ha'olam v'omar, Yehi chvoid Hashem la'olam. So in other words, Kavod comes through the Nasu kal v'choyme ba'atzmam. Torah Shebal Peh is the source of Kavod. And that's why the Luchas Hashnias are more mechubed than the Luchas Harishonis, Yosef Nichbodim, as the Lashon of the Goyen. Now, as it says, Kvoid Melachim, the pasuk says in Mishlei Chafei, Kvoid Melachim Chakor Dover. If we would have Luchas Rishonis and everything would be written, there would be no Chakor Dover. But Dafke, when Torah was concealed and we got to Luchas Shnias and the Torah Shebal Peh is not written and we have to figure it out, that's the Kvoid Melachim Chakor Dover. That's why the Luchas Hashnias are Nichbodim in Harishonis. And that's also why it says, Godol Yeh, Kvoid, Abayis Azeh Achrin Min Harishon. Because it's true that in the Bayis Sheni, it was Chosru by Chamisha Dvorim, and there was less revelation, Milamailo. But for the same reason, we had an Aliyah, as it says in the Pirkei Cholos. Amar Rabbi Shmuel, Mishum Rabbi Elazar Agadol, Miyom Shenitna Torah, Ad Shenivna Abayis Achrin. Until the binyan of the Bayis Achrin, Torah Nitna. Torah was given, but Hadora, Yikora, Dulasa, Kvoida, Vitefarta, Lo Nitnu Ad Shenivna Abayis Hasheni. So the glory of Torah only came about when Torah Shebal Peh was developed through the Anshe Knesset Hagdolah in the time of the Bayis Sheni. So you see that the Kvoid Haluchas Hashnias are more than the Rishonis, and the Kvoid Habayis Hasheni is more than the Rishon. And therefore the Gilui of the Anhaga of Haroye Bas Shoishanim, both in terms of the Yud Gimel Midas HaRachamim, and in terms of Sheshoinim Bahalochos. Yeah, the Shoshanim and the Sheshoinim. This was revealed when Moshe Rabbeinu ascended to Har Sinai to receive the Luchashnias Arish Chodesh Elul. That's really the foundation of the Gilui of the Roya B'Sheshanim in the Binyan Bayis Sheni, on which the Nevuah was given on Rish Chodesh Elul, Anila Doidi V'Doidi Li, and the Gilui B'Foyal was Al Yedei the Oilei Bavel who built the Bayis Sheni. The Gemara says that that Ru'uyim Hoyu Yisrael She'yosel Lemnes, when the Oilei Bavel, the Gemara says in Brachas Daf Daled, Kederech Shenasa B'Yimei Ezra, but Kederech Shenasa B'Yimei Yeshua, but what? Elo Shegora Machet. So therefore, the Anhaga of Anila Doidi V'Doidi Li is Merumez Dafke in this pasuk, which is Shayich the Chodesh Elul.